Picture this. Let's say you're driving in Belgium. A hole in the road comes up ahead. The roads in Belgium are at least a safe bore. The car bounces back up, your wheels lose traction, and your car goes into an unstoppable wheel spin. Next thing you know, you're facing the crash barrier with over 80 kilometers an hour. You don't want that. And that is why cars have suspension systems. And that is exactly what I'm going to talk about today.
Yes.
Thank you. My name is Michel de Jongh and I'm a student at the Hogeschool Rotterdam. I'm taking questions after the presentation, and this presentation will take about 5 to 6 minutes of your time. So, let's get a move on. Who needs suspension? We all do. It gives the car a smooth ride, and as stated before, it keeps us safe. Also, it keeps the wheels on the road, because no matter how cool the Dukes of Hazzard looked, we want our wheels on the road. And it keeps us off the road. It keeps us and the rest of the vehicle suspended. Also, it takes care of the vibrations, because no matter how smooth the road ahead looks, it's a very bad place to propel over a ton of metal over. I'm going to talk about the two most basic components of a suspension system, and I'm going to talk about dependent, independent, truly independent car suspension systems, and I'm going to give you 2 examples. The first component of a suspension system are the springs. There are 3 types of springs. The first one are coil springs, which is the one you're seeing behind me. These are the ones you find in your pants, and probably when you drive home tonight, you can see them under your car. The second are leaf springs. These are layers of metal stacked up on each other. You can find them in heavy-duty vehicles such as trucks. The third and last one are torsion bars. There's no slide for that. The third and last one are torsion bars. These are too rare for me to discuss with you today, but if you want, you can find them in old VW Beetles. The second component are shock absorbers. I can go on and talk about 10-15 minutes about how these things work, but I'd rather tell you what they need to do. They need to dampen the vertical motion. So a better word for them are dampers. Because if you just had the coil springs, your car would wobble all over the place, and it would give car motion sickness a whole new meaning. The second thing they need to do is keep the wheels planted on the road. When a hole comes up, they push the wheels down and make sure that you have 100% traction and you don't go into a wheel spin. Is everyone still with me?
Oh yeah.
Yes? Alright, moving on. Car manufacturers in all their wisdom gave us many different types of suspension systems, but you can basically divide them in 3 different parts. The first one is dependent suspension system. What this means is the front wheels are physically locked. Most of the time it's just leaf springs, and on each wheel we have shock absorbers. You can't find them in mainstream cars anymore, because for a couple of reasons. 1, they're big and heavy, and 2, when the wheels get out of alignment, you can't adjust them on a rigid axis. But for off-road use, some people swear by them. The second one are independent suspension systems. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is a lie, because they are locked. The only difference is there's an anti-roll bar between them, and we have coil springs and shock absorbers on each wheel. But since 2006, we have truly independent suspension systems. What this means is that the anti-roll bar has been removed and replaced by sophisticated computer software, which makes sure that each wheel is pushed down at the right moment with 0 time. To give you an... Excusez-moi. To give you an example, this is a McPherson strut. These 2 points are connected to the chassis. This whole contraption moves to the left and right to make sure the wheels work and turn, so the whole vehicle can turn. This is a double wishbone coil springs type 1. These are the four points which connect to the chassis, and only this contraption now makes sure that the vehicle can turn. This one is small, cheap, and easy. but this one has proven to be more reliable and is more commonly used. Let me say again, this is a very, very high-speed guide into car suspension systems. We have coil springs type 2, multi-link, twin beams, straddling arms, molten rubber, which means no coil springs, no coil springs,
language.
and no shock absorbers, just plain old rubber. I hope I've told you enough to know a little bit more now about suspension systems, and if you have any questions, I would be more than happy to answer them.
Very nice.